here, take break, and then meet out at the Lowmore lift station at roughly quarter to 10, depending what time we get out of here. And then we're going to get actual some hands-on out there. So
actually, probably more hands-on. We'll just go over some stuff briefly in here. And the more hands-on you get, the more comfortable you guys are going to be with this stuff. So they've got pumps running out there. We're going to throw hoses, just water out of the creek. We're going to run it. We're going to get things running with you guys. We're going to have you get on with this temporary laptop. So you guys know that you can take this laptop out there, set it up, plug into the PLC, get online, see what's going on. Because if you have an alarm, with just that dialer, you're not going to know what alarm it is. So we're going to leave a temporary laptop here with you. I don't know if you thought we'd keep it in your office, wherever you keep it. It's portable. Shut it down, put it in, go out there, you got a problem, you can power it up, you can look, check how things are going. I encourage you to take that out there. Even if there isn't a problem, over the next few months until they get this Beaver Channel, station done. Go out there, get familiar with it, because when we come back to do the radios, if you got any questions, we'll be back here again. And if you've seen this, wasn't sure about this, you can also call us. Zach's left his card out there. He's done all the programming on this station. We've always got our cell phones. If you guys got an issue, question, and there's no dumb questions.
At 3 a.m.
What's that?
At 3 a.m.
Hey, I take calls middle of the night. The only ones I don't like is, what, are you going to be in the office tomorrow? I've had managers call me at 2 o'clock in the morning wanting to know if I would be in town tomorrow. They said, how would this be any different at 5 o'clock in the morning? Oh, I don't know, I was up, figured you just loved me. Any kind of a friend of mine is also. Our company is Design Solutions Integration. We've got offices in Sioux Falls, Grand Forks, Fargo, and Bismarck. We do controls integration work in water, wastewater, fuels, biofuels, manufacturing, food processing, pretty much everything. Whatever, if they got a PLC control and they want us to work on it. So, and we've started out in the water and wastewater. Cable lengths, what your 4 to 20 coming out of it, going to our PLC is. There isn't a lot that we set up because this magnetic flow tube and the transmitter's all calculated. They actually put it in a full device at the factory. So there isn't a lot of stuff in there. Unless tech support tells you to go in there and start looking at something. There's some empty pipe detections, things like that you can set on in there. But otherwise, there isn't a lot of actual calibration to it. That's all done at the factory.
It's lifetime calibration, or?
That was my question.
Pretty much.
So if it goes bad, you put a new one in, basically, unless it's something electrical.
There's some of these that I've seen that have been out there for ages. Now, the ones that I've seen have gone bad, flood. This one, if that floods out, you got more problems than that phone there. Things way up in there.
Well, I mean, we've got a whole bunch of stations that don't work now that are only 3 years old.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What brand?
Siemens.
Really?
Oh yeah. Same thing.
What's their problems?
They won't read. They'll have nothing. One time it reads 500 gallon a minute. Next time it reads nothing. But you pump about 2,000 gallon a minute. So, and one of them just nothing. The screen, everything just blank.
Now, one thing these things, well, if the screen's blank, the screen's probably the transmitter's probably dead. One thing these things do not like, I don't care what type of magnet, air. You get air in the top of your line, entrained air in your water, anything like that, it'll give you error readings. So, but if your screen's black, you're more likely your transmitter's bad. It's one of those, I can't believe there's some of them only a couple years old and bad.
All.
What's that?
All of them that are bad are less than 3-4 years old. There's what, one at 20th is bad.
One at 20th and one at first.
One at first.
we had to put a new sensor on the one on 25th. The one at First, there's been some fighting going on, because I think it's because there's this gel you're supposed to put in the electrical box on top of it to keep the water out, and that was never put in. So,
See, that's what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
they think water's gotten into there, and we haven't really looked real close to the one at 20 yet.
And there is some tests you can do to test to see if you fried your coils and stuff in your mag. I'm sure you've probably done that, Scott. And you get a magger and you go down in there.
Yeah, we haven't, because everything is under warranty, we haven't touched any of it.
Yeah.
Well, if it's
Because
under
they're
warranty,
still-
yeah.
Well, I mean, they're still arguing about who's at fault, so
Yeah.
we're not touching nothing until,
So there, it sounds like there's an environmental or some
at
problem.
least on that one at First, we know.
Yeah, the one at First week.
The one
At
at
20th,
20th.
we haven't looked real close at yet to determine.
Connection problems or
Yeah.
supposed to be have a lot of gas in the station.
Typically, you know, that's the most trouble I've heard with them.
Well, I mean, that's the first time that they've had them in there, and I mean, we've had a 50% failure basically in 4 years, you know, same outfit installed everything, so, you know, 50% failure, that doesn't really seem very reliable to me.
That'll
Well, I'd have to agree with you.
You know,
I
I mean,
can't argue with you.
And
Scott.
you know, I don't know enough about the installation of them to where they had a bad guy putting them in, or
Well,
they just got bad
Just
stuff.
not a whole lot.
There's grounding rings, stuff like that. There's different things, you know. That's the first thing I look. They have grounding rings in place. You know, are they necessary? First of all, do they have them grounded properly? There's things like that, but it's under warranty. Somebody, whoever installed them, I mean, I'd be raising heck of Siemens about it, you know, which I'm sure you guys are. So, moving on. Changing parameters from the entry table. You go in there. Use your scroll up down buttons. It pretty much leads you right through it. We could show you when we're out on site how to get into the stuff. There's 4 buttons. You know, it's usually edit. You get into it. You go scroll over to the next number. I'm sure you've done this, Scott, seen it before. Alphanumeric. Exiting the setup by pressing the next button repeatedly. You can go to the cursor to the right. Once it reaches the end position, cancel the display and it'll let you out of whatever you're in. If you're unsure about something, just don't save it. You know, if you're not sure if you made the right edit, just cancel out of it and come back into it and go ahead and change it. This here's another example of that tree that I was talking about. First one just showed you getting into 2 levels. Here you got like easy setup, device info. And it continues on in the manual, several different levels down here, gets into your advanced, blah, blah, all the way down. I didn't put all of them on here because I know that Bob wanted to show you this up some. Here's after you get through this tree in the manual, you get a more descriptive thing of what's going on. It'll actually go and tell you what this certain parameter means. You know, for example, language, easy one, you want to keep it in English. You can select different languages, stuff like that. It just gives you a more description of what's going on. This is the one that I was telling you, the totalizer. Where you go in there, the totalizer, reset total, reset all volume totalizers.
Can that have, you said you can put an extra line in for the operator screen? Can they have it set up for like a daily flow and then a monthly flow, or is it just one totalizer, just the one number you're gonna get?
I have to look and see if this one do.
I mean, you know,
Daily flow.
just sometimes, I mean, it might come in handy to,
Yeah.
just to see what they're giving you, because I know, like, talking with a guy out in Lowmore, they have a lot of I&I right now, they're trying to take care of them. So on a rainy day, we can see if the plant is more or less, or
I'll look
rather
into
just
that.
weekly or monthly total. It really doesn't tell you the daily flows of it.
What do you want? What do you want on there?
Well, I'm just wondering if you can have like a 24-hour total, you know, for gallons per day.
Daily,
or,
weekly, monthly.
Yeah,
on
daily,
like the second
monthly, or,
page.
yeah,
We'll see if we can do that.
something like that, just so we can, you know, kind of see if it would help the plan out any that, you know, you got more flow. If it's going to rain, you're going to get the higher flow coming from there.
Because I know there's a batch counter on here. I'm not gonna guarantee that if we can do it, we'll do it. And we'll let you know.
Yeah, fireman's practice, see how many extra flushes they get.
Totalizer, this is a more descriptive thing of the previous one that we just looked at. Reset totalizer, reset volume total, sub menu, batch, edit volume totals. You have basically 3 totalizers you can set here: forward flow, reverse flow, and net. So it will measure both directions. So if for some reason your check valve's leaking, it's going to measure it coming back. So, reset batch. I'm just reading it, but I don't remember. I don't think that batching was good. I know that was in there. Here's another part where I'm talking about your operator displays. You actually scroll through there, you get into your display, and we can have up to 4 pages set up with it. And this is where we'll put, like on the second page, if we could get that done, if it's available on there, we'll get that second operator page set up there. So it'll have month, or daily, monthly.
Yeah, daily, weekly, monthly.
Weekly,
whatever,
monthly?
Yeah.
Okay. Descriptive of the operator pages. I think the next page actually shows the different things that you can put in there. And I don't see it there. Typically what we would do is we'd do that in the PLC, actually have a running totalizer in there. He's got a totalizer coming, but I don't think you have.
It's not resettable, it's just a constant.
Right.
You know,
That wouldn't be a problem to make a resettable one or a daily one.
and a lot of times it'll be on your screen of your PLC. I don't think it wasn't required by specs.
Wasn't in the specs.
Well, I'm just curious as well.
But it can be done. A lot of times it's better for
Probably easier way to
you
do it.
guys, because you can visually see it once the station gets in back here all the time.
When you guys have the PLC set up and that, are you gonna have a, say on the flow, are they gonna be able to go back and look at like a graph
Mhm.
of the flow?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
trending.
that's trending. in there.
So there's trending, so they could see what they wanna see off that trending.
But it's not gonna give them a total. He's
No,
actually,
give 'em a
he's
full
talking,
rate.
it's gonna give them a full rate when it's done.
Yeah, but they could see some spikes in the flow rate if they're on a rainy day and they get a spike in the flow rate, then they,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
they-
see how
they-
often all the pumps are kicking on.
yeah.
Cause that, by looking at your flow rate when your pumps kick on, if they come on after rain and run for a long time,
Yeah.
the way it's talking is what, 30,000 gallons are expected is all to get from there right now.
I'm
That's
not
what
positive.
Bob said. Very small average flow.
Right.
But I understand what you're doing, Scott. Totalizers are very nice. So. Maintenance. This comes right out of the maintenance manual. Supposed to be performed by an authorized customer service personnel, naturally. Basically, there is really no essential maintenance on these things. They're supposed to just run. In fact, it says right there, essentially, maintenance is not required on the following section. Things should be checked annually. Ambient conditions, air circulation, humidity. You're getting moisture in your connections is a problem. This is all sealed up and sealed tight, and it shouldn't be a problem. The remote transmitter's up in a controlled room, shouldn't be an issue. Process connections, well, if you get a seal leak, yeah, that's a bad thing. Cable entry points and cover screws, all that should be maintained. If you take them off, make sure you put them back on. The power feed, lightning protection, everything, and I don't remember, was this one wired into our control plant? Either way, the complete plant,
I think all the
It's good.
120 has surge protection on it.
it's got surge protection on it. There's a big surge protection device right there, so it should be protected.
Biggest thing,
And like I said, if you got problems with the flow meter, I'm gonna quicken it up here because,
We're getting too deep in the
yeah. Maintenance continued, gaskets replaced in the transmitter in session, or sensor. Something about you can change it out with 500, nothing important. Spare parts list, they recommend fuses for up in here. If they blow, usually it's a bad problem. And we found out that you end up replacing the fuse and it blows again.
Yeah.
So, RTD temperature sensors. You've got two of these. One down in the process area. There's a handoff auto switch down there for your pumps. It's mounted on the side of that. The other one's up in the electrical room on the side of the cabinet. It's an RTD, got a puck in it that sends a 4 to 20 milliamp signal. These got a range from 0 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Feeds back to PLC, it's displayed on the screen. Factory calibrated, pretty much you don't have to do anything. If it fails, that's when you worry about. There's no calibration, no maintenance. So, no recommended factory parts, no maintenance required on them. Siemens ultrasonic. Have you guys seen these probes before? Understand you guys got some of these hooked directly to VFDs and stuff. Same thing. It's an ultrasonic probe, sends sound waves out with the tuning fork. After so long, it shuts off and reads the reflections back. This one is mounted at just under 20 feet. There's a barrier in there that you cannot read of about 12 inches or so, so it's calibrated at 18 feet is what we got it set up to read. Same thing, you got a problem, go look at the nameplate on it, get stuff, come in. Principles of operation, I pretty much just went through, told you tuning fork sends a sound down, reflects back, it reads it. Blanking distance is the distance that you can't get it accurate because there's not enough time for it to stop, the tuning fork to stop. Run mode, we got this displayed in feet. It's displaying the feet outside on the unit. The unit is right outside the building, right over the top of the wet well. If it's in fail-safe mode, you see this symbol right there, if you can make that out, that means it's running normal. If that's happened, something's happened to that unit. There's an unreliable echo, something's going on. The only thing that I've ever really run into with these things, and maybe you guys have already seen this, they hate condensation, and if you get a buildup, especially in a sewage, you might have to wipe that sensor off.
Don't like cobwebs either.
Cobwebs, anything like it reflects whatever's there. If you get a whole pile of cobwebs, something, it's going to reflect it. If it freezes over, you know, it's going to read that ice, which I highly doubt it's going to freeze over. But you know, these are things that for some reason something's not working, you need to take a look at it. Operating the probe, there's a programming. There's supposed to be a helm-to-helm programmer for this unit. Got misplaced. We got to find it or get a new one and send it to you. We had a hard communicator that we got online and programmed this all with. So it's all programmed and set up. But you know, you know what I'm talking, a little handheld.
I got on the truck, yeah.
Okay. It was sent here, we thought. They're saying it wasn't. We got to figure out what happened and get you one. But it is all programmed as we did with our hard communicator, got online.
So I'll show you the one we got in the truck. It's pretty much similar, just a
I can tell you the model number of it. It looks like almost like a
little
little
calculator.
calculator.
Like, yeah.
It's probably the same thing, Siemens. But I mean, it's part of the contract. We're gonna send you one anyway. It's all set up, like I said, read 0 to 18 feet. Programming keys, this is all due to that programmer. Like I said, you guys are familiar with all this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You guys got Siemens products out there. They're all pretty much programmed the same way. This is what that basically looks like, what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, that's pretty much the same thing.
You pointed at it.
Yeah, it's got a P in one corner, a couple of P's in it or something, or 1 through 10, or 1 through 9 and 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Same thing. But like I said, we'll get you one, find it, get it to you, or whatever. Going through and accessing parameters, you guys are all familiar with this, so we won't spend a lot of time on it. Setting up units, like you said, we set it up in feet. The basic setup, you're basically doing two things. Looking what your empty level is. And I think empty in that was 19, but roughly 19.7 feet. And we went 18 feet up from that would be your space that we're allowing in there, leaving us a little over a foot for that blanking distance. Going through setting up the empty level. Fault codes. If you have a fault code that pops up on this unit, go to your manual, see what it is. Troubleshooting. This is where I said, really there isn't a lot going on there, but as you said, cobwebs, stuff like that, will mess with it. There's basically no maintenance really that they're recommending. The only thing, like we talked, and I recommend wiping it off a couple times a year.
We've had them when they get a false signal, we just unplug it. You know, throw the
Reset
power
it.
off to it, let it sit for a minute or two, and then it resets itself.
And sometimes I've actually seen the digesters, when they mounted a tube up, and when the sun come up in the morning, hit that tube, condensate band in there, readings going all over. They call us, we come up there, and it's working fine. Go back in the trending, look, well, yeah, it was bouncing. Finally, had to show up at 5 o'clock in the morning, be on site to watch it. Went up there and ripped one of those out, and it was just dripping water in there. You know, so there's stuff like that that's causing problems just for a short period.
How do they handle dust and dirt on top of condensation? Will that really screw it up? Because it's on the side of a gravel road in farm fields.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if it's a little moist and he's out there disking up the ground, will that stick and screw it up, or is it got to take a lot?
If it gets, I mean, just a little thin coat ain't gonna bother, but if you get a thick layer on, that's why I said you got a problem, or it seems like it's not
Combination
being,
of shit.
wipe the thing off quick. You shouldn't really have it's all enclosed. You
Yeah.
guys are gonna have that closed up. You really shouldn't have too much
It's just
trouble.
what you're gonna get inside the wet wells. All it is.
MSA gas monitors, I don't know, you guys got any of these around? Gas detectors? No, there's a gas detector down, it's right next to the sump pit down in there, down in that pump galley. The gas detector is supposed to be looking for LELs or explosive gases. This is basically what the unit looks like. It's a XE model. The only difference is this here is remote mounted down here. Your transducers or your transmitters up here where you can see at it. And the thing you're going to have to actually hook to calibrate it down so about 6 inches off the floor.
13
Yes.
inches. They're supposed to be mounted 13 inches off the floor.
Whatever it is. I'm getting pretty fat, so 13 inches seems like 6. So, initial startup, Zach ran through this, did the first initial check on it. When you first start this unit up, they are calibrated and done from the factory, but they recommend when you first install them to do an initial calibration, which he's done.
We'll do that again.
And we'll do it again out there. We're gonna have you guys do it. This is one that's really important. You guys have never done it. It's got a simple 3-button programmer. There's 0 gas and a, what do you call that one? Calibration gas. That's at a known level. It's, I think it's 25%
25% LEL or something.
Yeah, it says right on the bottle. It's really simple. We'll go through it, have a couple of you guys do it. Then there's a standard. Let's go through this here quick. If you get a plus LOC percent LEL on the front of that screen, that means you've had a very high level, over 100% LEL. Be very careful what you do. If it still says over 100%, it's still there in that room. So I don't expect this to be a problem, but make sure if you, for some reason, you get a high LEL alarm, make sure your ventilation's on. Don't go down in there, you know, and you should keep your ventilation on for H2S anyway. So here's your LED indications. Normally there's a green light that's solid on there. If there's something else going on here, that's when you come to this manual and see what it's telling you. These sensors on these do eventually go bad. They don't last forever. It will give you a warning on the device saying that the sensor's getting close to expiration. Get a new sensor, they're pretty easy to screw the one off, put the new one, do initial calibration, away you go. Calibration basics. This is the basic calibration that you do on a routine basis, I guess. Here's your calibrator. This is the one you have here, multiple calibrators, just 3 buttons on there. Very simple to use. It's got a little booklet with it, so you don't have to drag that big thing around. You got a calibration kit, 2 gallons and everything. You should be able to throw it together and just go out there. Now how often you do these calibrations is up to you. I would recommend that you do them a couple times within the next couple months for 2 reasons. So you guys get familiar with doing the calibration, don't forget it. Scott, you're probably going to be going out there with other guys, because I understand there's some guys that aren't here. You're going to probably go out and show them. It ain't going to hurt. Just go out there and show them how to do the calibration. Keep it fresh in your memory for a little bit. But then once you've done a couple calibrations a couple months in a row, and it's stayed consistent, you haven't had to adjust it, then you can extend it out a little more if you want.
What's the manufacturer's recommendation?
That's exactly what they kind of say in here. Once you get a stable reading after you're doing the constant calibration, they say initially, yes. Even though it is set at the factory, when you did the initial calibration, it was off, what, like 4%? 3?
Yeah, something like that, 4 or 3.
You know, once it gets into the environment and you've done a couple calibrations, there's some of these, the guys go out every 6 months.
Okay, the questions I've been thinking here. He said that it should show up on the screen if
the sensors get.
Okay, and which screen are we talking about?
On the device itself.
On the device itself.
If I back up here.
That's the one down on the pump room.
Okay. Now,
But
if the guys walk up to that lift station, is there going to be any sort of audio alarm, an alarm to where they know there's an issue before they even go down there and look at that?
No,
It'll be on the
it'll be on the screen.
laptop, but since you're taking it out there and actually
Well,
plugging it
I
in,
guess
you're
where
not
I'm
gonna
going
know
with this
before you
is,
go in the station.
let's say the laptop is gone, and it's a design thing. It's giving us an alarm back here, a problem there. You know,
It's all
the
hooked
screen
up.
will be the Beaver Channel pump station.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll give you indication of gas level. It'll alarm it. It gives you a warning at 10% LEL, and it has an alarm at 50%.
So it's going to give you an alarm, but it's going to be on your screen.
So I'll see the screen here, and I'll know I can't go in that pit without
there.
either protection or making sure that ventilation's working.
Yep.
Maybe that's what happens.
And your LELs it's not major in H2S. You know, it's explosive gases. As you guys, I'm sure, are aware of H2S. I'm sure you've had H2S training. You know, the silent killer and all that. It's not major in H2S. I don't foresee having a problem with an H2S in there, but that's why I say make sure your ventilation system's on when you go down.
Well, this is mounted up on the main level.
Nope.
Oh,
Just
this is
down
mounted
the
on the
pit.
main
Down
level.
below.
Down where the pumps are.
Nope. Right where you come down your steps and where your sump pump hole is
Yeah.
there,
Right
it's
next
right next to it.
Yeah, that's it had the shaft that went down 30 inches.
Well, it's only
There.
about a couple feet.
That's monitored basically eye level.
This
Yeah,
top
and-
here part is eye level, so you can see it. This here is an extended, the sensor is actually mounted down towards the floor. So that whole unit's, I'm guessing there's not that much distance in between.
Also a sensor out there, the electrical room that I can walk in and read.
And the
In
thing is
electrical
that,
room, if I
that
forget what's
ventilation
on the
system out
screen
there is
here.
supposed to be able to do
No, there is
separate rooms.
6 changes an
Well, there
hour.
is separate rooms, but there's nothing
So it's
there.
not a
Okay, I
classified
won't be able
space.
to PLC and come down there.
Well, I guess
Okay.
is my main concern is that is mounted downstairs in the area where there would potentially be the problem.
Yep.
And if we're not aware that there's a problem before we go downstairs, that's not a good thing.
I'm not disagreeing with you one bit, Bob.
So I was wondering if there was like a a light flashing or an alarm going off. You know, the idea, and I'll address this with the engineers,
Yeah.
of reading on the monitor back here that there's a problem with gas way out there. Because that almost means you got to stop back here to check it before you want to go out there.
It could be the fact where Scott's on the way out there to check something. I get an alarm here. I don't know he's on the way out there.
Yeah.
He climbs in because he already checked. It was clear.
And I'll
So-
check into that.
Is there a way to have that thing mounted upstairs with a longer sensor, or can't they do that?
It'll be so far
This
away.
dialer that's being temporarily installed. You know, the first one is a general alarm. The second one is intrusion. Is that included in that general alarm? Okay.
So there's a collective alarms page for
But
the
it's
entire
all it's
plan.
doing is it's calling back.
Saying there's a
There's
problem.
no light,
You don't know
and
what
I'm
it
not
is.
disagreeing about the light's a good idea. You see a lot of these chlorine gas and stuff like that, they'll actually have a strobe light someplace in there that is activated by this device when it's seeing an alarm. You know, it's personnel safety.
Well,
Well,
I'm
I
just
don't
curious,
think-
because I mean, from what I remember, all the lights down there are fluorescent lights, right? Okay, if you've got high explosive level in there and you flip that switch on from up above, you might not know that you flipped that switch on from up above. Because you get a spark from any of them lights and you're gone.
I'd have to check, I think those lights are all sealed.
Well, I'm
Well,
guessing those lights have to be explosion proof.
Explosion.
Just by code.
But here's the thing, is that the ventilation system does enough changes an hour to where that's an unclassified space. So if the ventilation system's on, shouldn't be an issue, but I agree. And maybe what we can do is maybe get that display mounted up. Maybe we try to
Mount
get that.
that up on the
The
first
upstairs
floor.
level.
Yeah,
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 well,
when you walk
Or
in and you
just
look
have
at
a,
it.
you know,
Yeah.
a
Or even
separate
a
readout
remote
panel
sensor on
display.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Just show them what the level is.
Yeah.
Because the basement maybe.
Oh,
Yeah, it's basically
upstairs
bad, but
now.
I mean, you know, it could be, gas heavier in there and you're not even gonna know what up above.
I just don't think it's right to, what we gotta rely on for detection is in the area that could be the potential problem area.
They can be walked around. We can fix that.
That, all I can recommend is bring it up with the engineer.
Well, that's what I'll
You're
do.
with
We'll
the
talk to
HDR,
them.
correct?
Yeah.
What's your name? Brent. Brent? I don't know, Brent Stock, this is that name. Anyway,
He's a
Brent
resident.
knows about it. I'm sure he'll bring it up.
Change order.
I've seen these in the oil fields, actually, H2S hooked right to it. You know, LEL ones are usually up in the center of the room, hooked up to it, sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, because they're working with natural gas
Right.
stuff coming off.
Lighter,
there.
yeah, lighter.
Slider comes up, but it's right there, you know, electrical room.
Right.
And that damn thing goes off, you know, you're in trouble. I know what you're saying, so. Moving on.
But they typically have strobes outside the building.
Yep,
Yeah.
they've got, they do, they have
Walking in there,
strobes,
check.
just like you're talking, strobes outside the building. Before that, H2S, whatever.
Yeah.
They've got one for actual H2S, one for that, one for personnel, stay the hell out of here. You know, they actually make you, when you're working there, carry your personal H2S monitor on you all the time, so. This is your initial calibration, this is what Zach will go through, you apply the zero gas.
It walks you right through
Yeah.
it.
And it's got a little book,
problem.
calibration kit and everything like that. Here's your standard calibration. This stuff's in here, it's all in the book.
And really, most of the time, you're not gonna have to do a calibration, just hook the calibration gas up and make sure the sensor comes up to that level and
Yeah.
it's reading right. If it doesn't, then you go through a calibration.
Kind of steps you through here. He'll show you this as we're out here going through calculation mode. There's two different ones, like I said, initial and regular calculation. Spanning it. All this stuff he'll be going through with you out there. There's some other stuff I want to get to here. Same calibration. We can see some of those here. General indications that you can get on the screen, maintenance. It's constantly self-checking itself. These devices have been out, MSA is huge in the gas and mining industry, so they've been out for a long time. Very reliable devices. they pretty much tell you, like I said, when the sensor's starting to go bad, it's getting close to need to be replaced. It'll give you initial warning, telling you that it's going to need to be replaced. Different stuff in your configuration space, troubleshooting if you need to get into it. Your fault codes. Here's what I was looking for. Only routine maintenance on the sensor element itself, which has a limited lifetime. The Ultima X series gas monitor readout indicates that the sensor must be changed. There is very little sensor lifetime remaining when this happens.
I know a lot of those depend on how much they actually detect over time.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
For the
combustibles do
lifespan.
if it.
But I mean, do you have any recommendation after 2 years that you should be changing it, or?
I think it's just when it tells you
When it
it's
tells
time
you.
to change it.
I think on some of the other MSA sensors, I've worked with the little portable ones you carry around, I think they warranty the sensors for like a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same deal.
If you find that you haven't calibrated all the time and it's getting way out of whack, replace it. I mean, there's stuff like that that's gonna give you, usually it'll tell you it's time to replace it. If there's something like that going on, then all of a sudden, 2 years down the road, you put your calibration gas on there, and it's all of a sudden showing 10% off, 20, 15% off, I'd replace the sensor. Sensor replacement, goes steps you through how to go through a sensor replacement. They're actually pretty easy. They just actually screw off. But you probably, need power the device down, replace it. You should pick your sensor right back up, do initial calibration, and then remember to do a periodic calibration shortly after to ensure it maintains its calibration. Kind of shows you here, it's threaded up into there. There's a couple plugs. We can probably power it down and show you this while we're out there if you guys want to see how to slip that sensor off. Replacement parts, go through MSA. This is all in your instrumentation certification sheets. It's got a local vendor that you can get a hold of to get a replacement part. You pull that off and it'll tell you what it is. You should be able to go back to that same vendor and give them the order codes and stuff off there, and it should be able to tell you exactly what you had in your replacement the same amount. Discrete instruments, discrete devices, go switches. They're your intrusion alarm switches on the door, fault level switches, and flood level switches. They're basically, those are some of the major ones in your station out there. You guys are familiar with discrete devices, I'm sure. It's like a light switch. Float goes up, makes contact, closes, goes in, tells the PLC that, hey, this float's activated. Same thing with the door switches and everything. It's an on-off state. Some ways you can test this, since you guys aren't familiar with PLC, we'll look at the drawings here. It's got all the discrete points. We'll show you on the card. Somebody goes and you don't think a float's working, you can flip that float, and if there's a light on the front of that card with a number corresponding to the drawings, it'll go on and off. You guys may have done it. It's simple, easy way to test it. If that doesn't work, take your wires off, check it with an ohm meter. You can also jumper these things to test your PLC to see if your PLC card's bad, to see if your float's bad. There's ways you guys can diagnose what's probably going on. No regular maintenance to these devices. Usually when a float's bad, go switch bad. If it's home and out bad, Scott, you know it's a he'd be pouring with this, but if it's bad, it's bad. Other things you want to look with discrete. If you find that it works and it doesn't work, look at the mounting of it. Where your float's getting tangled up. Is your sensor for those glow switches, is it not quite close enough to the door? Is the door frame a little loose and it moves away in the wind? You see all kinds of different stuff that give you intrusion alarms, things like that, false alarms. Here's your telemetry system. Basically, the ones they had spec'd out were CalAmp radios. You're gonna have a unit in station out there, a repeater tower. Sounds like They're not sure if they're gonna move that right now. And then there'll be another unit back here. So basically, you're gonna have a 3 radio system. Talking back over here, it's Ethernet, running on 900 megahertz. Here's some radio specifications. We won't get too detailed in some of these ranges. At the higher speeds, you can go up to 1.2 megabytes. At the slower speed, you can shoot these up to 40 miles if you have a good signal. A lot of problems with good signal is things that cause troubles, trees. You go out here this time of year, no foliage on trees. All of a sudden, you get in the middle of summer and foliage is there. Storms cause problems with them. Ice, different things like that can mess with your radio signal. And it also reduces your distance that you can shoot these reliably. Like I said, 900 megahertz will be running over an Ethernet base. This will be talking directly to that PLC out there. And if for some reason you lose comms, it'll show that you've lost comms. You get an alarm that you've lost comms to that station out there, and then you'll have to start looking at your telemetry to see if something's happening. Some simple things that sometimes happen: antennas turn, something, a huge wind come up. I mean, you're talking little antennas, but there's some different stuff that happens. And we'll visually inspect, see what's going on, and then we'll have to get at the point. Then you get into and diagnose, get online at the radio, do a diagnosis through the programming software in here, which is available directly through Internet Explorer. You just web-based right into it, and you get online, do all the programming. You don't need any special software or anything like that. It's all built right into the unit. Just kind of a look at the radio there. Very small unit. You can't really see it, but there's lights on here showing your signal strength right here. Then you get transmit and receive lights here that you can see what's going on. If these lights, for example, are scanning, you don't ever see stop, it's lost the master. It doesn't see it. It's looking for it. And what these do, you'll have a master radio and then either a repeater and remotes. The master is the one that's in control. Once your master goes out, it pulls these radios, and then they start talking. Then you can hook your whatever devices through them. Like I said, there's some lights on there, indication lights. You can see them better. Transmit and receive light, power light. And then there's a serial port and an Ethernet plug. Pretty much all you'll be using is that Ethernet plug, the antenna plug, and power. Exactly. There's 2 different types of antennas you're going to be using on this system. Out at Lowmore and at Beaver Creek, you'll be using the Yagi antenna. It's basically a directional antenna. Have you guys seen those? Got the bars coming up off them, about a yay long. You guys know radios at all? Okay. Pretty easy to pick out. It's a directional antenna. Whenever they get this repeater set up, we're going to want both of these aimed at that repeater. Okay. At the repeater tower, they're going to have what's an omni antenna. It's a stick. And basically, it's not directional. It sees like in a donut around that stick. Broadcasts out that way and receives from there. A directional shoots more of a lobe towards, so you can get more distance with the directional, is the idea. Configuration of these, like I said, varies. This system is a 3 radio system. But you can get systems where you got repeaters and hundreds of these radios out there. It gets very complex. This is pretty easy. It's 1 master, 2 remotes. Pretty straight. As long as we got a good path, good signal strength, it should be very, very, very reliable. When we get doing this other station and setting these up, I'd encourage you guys to be there with us. We'll show you getting online with these radios and doing that. Not that you guys are going to do it, just show you it's easy. We'll give you the IP addresses, the settings, and everything and all. And there is 1 spare radio that comes with this project. And like I said, I'll be turning it over to the general contractor. Even though it won't be for months till it's gonna be used, but you should have it in your hands. PLC. You have a ControlLogix processor out there. It's like the big dog of the Allen Bradley processors right now. Very good, very reliable. Go through the design of the system, I/O devices, communication modules, controller chassis. This has all been done, taken care of. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but basically you got I/O, communication modules, you got the process controller, and power supplies in a backplane. This is just some stuff out of the manual. It's not terribly important. There's communication options. You can do Ethernet, ControlNet, DeviceNet, all kinds of different communication protocols. There's all kinds of different processors available. I think we're using the L61 because that was what was standard throughout the rest of the plant. Different cards you can get for it. I want to get into some of this. Here's your CPU. This is actually an L6X series CPU that you're using out there. There's some lights on this that I want to point out to you. And you cannot read real well on this. But basically there's a run light and a fault light. Two real key ones. If you got a problem with this stationary, you want to open this panel up, we will show you where these lights are. That run light should be green and solid. If your fault light's on, you got a problem. There's a fault in that processor, something happened. It's lost a card, something. It's caused it to shut itself down. There's a force light. That's if you've got I/O force in the processor, which should be on. I/O indicator, and we'll show all these right on the front of that processor and go through what again out there. Force indicator, if you're running an RS-232 connection, and then there's an OK indicator saying that everything's all right. We've also added in this one, even though it wasn't required, an EEPROM backup. What it's going to do is if there's a fault in that processor, it's going to automatically load from that EEPROM. It wasn't required, but it just like the loaning the laptop to you, we're trying to make this so if it's got a problem, it's going to correct itself. Your OK indication on there, if it's flashing red, steady green, flashing green, you go into your manual, it'll tell you what's going on. Like I said, steady green, that's what you want. It's operating normally. Basically, we're going to be shooting this. This talks about your Ethernet IP. Everything that's running out of this is going through an eMBT card, which is not local to the chat or local to the CPU. It's actually a card that is in there. We're going to be taking that, and this is an example of how complex the system can be. It's going to be coming out of the eMBT right directly into the radio and shooting over the radio system to here eventually. What we're doing is we're going to take and bypass that. It's not going to go to the radio. You're going to plug directly into that eMBT card. And that's how you guys are going to, until they get this other station up, you're going to just take your laptop out there, plug an Ethernet cable in, power it up, and you'll be able to see it just like you see it. Not really sure why I put that in. Oh, software. You guys probably aren't going to purchase, I don't know if it's part of the other project, Logic software, part of the big.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a whole nother animal if you guys want to start getting online with these things. Scott, maybe that's something you guys, maybe it's your hold on.
Well, I know for the most part, this station, you know, like one question was asked about the SCADA and all that kind of thing. Out there, it's just going to be status only. Just for the plan, that's the superintendent's philosophy. He wants the guys to actually go out there. So I don't see us getting into too in-depth of software for out there.
No, but I'm talking, you might get software for this main project.
Well, that would all
So,
be.
Yeah, that's another animal.
Yeah,
like I
that's
said.
a whole different.
Programming languages that are used in this, I'll just go over it quick. Use relay ladder, function blocks, sequential charts, and structured text. The main two that we usually use is ladder logic and sequential function. Ethernet module, this is that Ethernet module I was talking about, the NBT. We'll show that to you there. There's a, I believe it's an OK, it says OK, is that what it says on it?
Yeah.
OK, and then it's actually flashing your Ethernet address across there. We'll show that to you when we get on site. Hardware, software, really, these are versions that you gotta have in order to run this stuff. Really doesn't pertain too much. Discrete I/O modules. Like I said, discrete modules, you have inputs and output discrete modules. We'll show these while you're to you while we're out there. It's pretty simple. Discrete's seeing a signal from a float. Your discrete outputs turn on an output to your alarm dialer, telling your pump, I want you to run. And then your PLC is sitting there and it's basically a control block. You guys, I understand, have a lot of relay control stuff. Basically, that's what that is, a big relay block that you can read analogs and everything in. Discrete I/O module, it's kind of a picture of one. It goes, plugs in, these are all hot swappable, except for the CPU. Pull the CPU out, you're gonna kill the process. You can actually hot swap these out. So if you don't want to power it down, I'd recommend just powering it down in a little station like that. But in a bigger station, you can actually hot swap these out. You can actually pull it out, put it in. Unlike some of the earlier versions, you couldn't do that under power because you could actually arc and spark and blow stuff up.
I like Arctic Spark.
Yeah. Analog modules. Same thing, either inputs or outputs to PLCs. Analog input modules see a varying voltage or current. Now everything out there is 4 to 20. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with 4 to 20 milliamp turn. It's actually what it's reading. Are you? I shouldn't say I'm sure. You guys all familiar with 4 to 20? Okay. Yes? No?
I'm not.
Okay. Basically what it's doing is, let's say your level transmitter, for example. We've got that set up 0 to 18 feet. At 0 feet, it's going to be sending a 4 milliamp signal back to my PLC. So I know that 4 milliamps is 0 feet. Well, when it's 18, it's 20. Or, yeah, 20 milliamps. Okay? So you got this scale, it's a linear scale. So when I have 8.135 milliamps coming back in, basically that's computing that in that PLC, and I know I have 12, I should have picked out an easier
12 3/4 foot.
But
Come on,
anyway, it's
Rain
on a
Man.
linear scale.
12 milliamps, you'd have 9 feet.
And 12 milliamps, you'd have 9 feet. There you go. So basically, that's how all your analog. It's not that hard of a principle, but you can set these up 0 to 10 volts, 0 to 20 milliamps. So you got to know what they're set up as. And this is all indicated in our drawings. Everything that we got set up out there is 4 to 20 milliamps. And it
Don't
goes
worry,
through-
I know what it is.
Don't worry.
Just ask Scott.
Just ask me.
Here's kind of an example of the resolution and how it's working. 4 to 20 milliamp signal. This is where we're looking at 0 to 100%. Now there's scaling and all kinds of stuff that goes in the background of these PLCs. It's, unless you get into the programming of it, some of these might be scaled 0 to 32,767, for example. But we got to go in there and figure out, and that's reading 0 to 21 milliamps. So there's so many points per every milliamp, so then you got to figure out, I'm going to be looking at 4. So this is the points that I got to use in my PLC. So then it's going to come here, and it's got this range. And that's all scaling done in the PLC. Nothing that you're, but this is the reason we can't change scaling of devices. In your flow meter, it's set 0 to 1,000 GPM. It's correlated in that PLC to 0 to 1,000 GPM. So if you change this 0 to 1,500, this over here still thinks that 4 to 20 represents 0 to 1,000. You've just shifted that linear curve, and it's not going to show up right. It's not going to control. Same thing with your level devices, everything. So scaling is important, that device in yellow, that you maintain that scale. Analog input, it's got a really simple status indicator of OK on it. Tells you if it's alright. Output, same thing. Now, I'm assuming, Scott, you've got 4 to 20. Can you generate 4 to 20 with your meters? There's a simple meter I can show you that you guys, if you ever get it, what's that?
We don't have them, we like to get them, we don't have one.
You know, and it's a flute meter. It's about an $800 meter.
That's why we don't have them.
That's why you don't have them.
Tom and I don't wanna spend no money on that.
Oh, you need to talk about. Anyway, any questions about what we've done so far? I'm rushing through this stuff, trying to get this. Anybody? Drawings is what we're gonna go over next. Like I said, they're gonna have to be updated. The ones in there, there's been a few changes to them. This is our basic legend. You can go in here, look and see your different contact types. If you're familiar with looking at drawings, it's pretty easy to go through. Enclosure, this is the actual dimensional size, part numbers of your enclosure. This is a good one. This has an itemized bill of materials for what's in that cabinet. Everything's itemized. It tells you what this radio number is, what this power supply number is. You know, so if you even if you want to cross-reference and get one that's close to it 5 years down the road because they don't make them, at least you got something to cross-reference. You got the full part number and description. Next page in our drawings has your PLC layout. It actually goes through power supply, processor, input, blah. It's got all that here. Then over here, we actually threw all your radio equipment. Is actually on that same page. There's going to be some modifications to that depending on what happens with this repeater tower and stuff. This is very good information when you need to look in and figure out, I need to figure out what this part is. It should all be right there for you. This is your little control panel down in the pump room to turn your pumps on and off, or turn them auto, off, and hand. In hand, you turn it to hand, then you got to go back upstairs and wrap the VFD up. Auto, you turn it on auto. We got it set since there's no HMI out there. You click it in auto, it automatically turns it in auto in the software, and it should be put into sequence and ready to run. This is an example of a power layout. This actually shows, this one's the one that's out there. The power layout of where everything's wired in. Your DC power supply, your trash, it's got your fuses that are in your circuit breaker, UPS that was field installed. Here's your discrete card that's in that thing. This is the one I'm talking about. If you wanted to go see if this intrusion switch was working, up there on that card, see all those numbers? They'll illuminate if that input is active. So you go look here, I wish I could read that a little better. It should be like input 16, 15. Would be this one here. If I go activate that switch, I should see number 15 come on.
Simply open the door and that light should blink.
Yep.
It'll come open.
Or same thing, if you look at a float switch, like this sump pump float switch here, same thing, you go to your drawings, you look, it's this one, you got a guy that, if you're one guy there, you rotate it up, go see if it's on, turn it down, make sure it goes off, you know your device is working. The only time you're ever going to do that is if you actually got problems with it. You know, you're not seeing a high flow or something like that. Output, basically every output that you're using, this is where it's changed. These will be your 2 alarm dialers in there, and the first 2 are your 2 run commands for your pumps. Analog input, there's 2 different types of analog, there are 2 cards here, 2 different wiring. Differential, where it's actually powered from the device, the 420 milliamp loop. These will have everything in there. They're good information here. You've got your tag number. A lot of these right now have to be determined. They'll have your scaling, it's 420 milliamp, and a description of the device. And then we'll actually have termination numbers. So, a lot of stuff in these drawings would be very helpful if you put a troubleshoot any of this.
One question I have.
Yep, go ahead.
Is, you know, this lift station is designed for expansion.
Yes, sir.
All this stuff can be reprogrammed.
Oh, yeah.
This can handle that expansion too.
These here are empty slots. You can add slots to them, or add cards to these.
Okay.
Yeah, it's designed to take your 4 pumps.
Okay.
I mean, if you actually go back and look at the room in that panel, you know, I mean, you got a lot of real estate there yet, so I mean, it's designed to take on, you know.
Okay.
You know, what you end up doing is you end up adding the cards and programming the pumps if you add 1, 2. So yeah, it's all set up for that.
Well, I think there's enough spares in the cards themselves, what we have there, that they can be added without having to.
More than likely, but I mean, there's spare inputs and there's spare slots. So I mean, you got a lot of room
Okay.
to add whatever you need to add to it. You know, you look, these here. Oops. Sorry about that. Like these discretes, these are all spare inputs. So if you wanted to hook another sensor or whatever in there, you got spare inputs to do it. It's gonna have to be programmed into logic, but there's spares all over. So same thing here, this one's only using 4 out of 16, so you got 12 spares. Analogs, you got several analog spares. You got 2 outputs for 2 more VFD spares there. This is an example of a single-ended analog input where it's actually powered from the DC power supply of our panel. Or your guys' panel or the lift station panel. It's not being powered from the device. That's the 2 differences. You know, you gotta know whether in instrumentation people call it active and passive. PLC people call it single-ended and differential. There's different terms for it, you know, just like every other industry. So be aware where these drawings will tell you where your power source is coming from. Analog outs, pretty much it comes out of the PLC, and there's only 2 of them here going to the drive. It's telling it 4 milliamps. I want you to run at this speed, 20 milliamps. I want you to run at 100%. So there's a couple surge suppressing devices out there. This one's out in the field. These rest of these are actually in the panel, hooked to your floats and stuff. Just wiring diagrams detailing how that's all hooked up. This here is your low level cutoff. It's got a relay in that panel that also hardwires into your VFDs, and it cuts them off if that low level float's made. So if you can't get this to run, check out, look at your low level float. Make sure that's made, because it's got to pull that in to give an enabled signal to that VFD. Repeater panel might change. This is the panel that we have built for over here. It's a simple radio panel, breaker, DC power supply, surge suppressor lighting. That'll be mounted here in Beaver Creek. Like I said, I didn't go over this other panel too much. They were talking solar, now they're talking about moving it to a tower, and that all depends on how it works out. Any questions? Did I go too fast? He's still got some screenshots to go through.
Good, how are you?
Are we doing all right?
Yeah, I think we're doing good. You guys, you know, we'll go out and look at it from here and try to put to use what he's taught you so far.
Exactly. You're going to learn a lot, and that's where, you know, don't be afraid to ask anything.
You know, as far as, you know, the PLC stuff, that's still, you know, I don't see us, we want to be able to, you know, maneuver through it, that kind of thing. But the inner workings of it, I don't see a lot of that at this point.
But there's some simple tests that you guys can
Yeah,
do.
and that's so we
You
can
know.
diagnose things. I like that.
You know, and that's, a lot of it's just getting familiar, don't be scared. So,
But the big thing, whatever questions.
any questions? And like I said, out there too. You can't use the clicker. I'll be your clicker.
Alright. the basic overview screen. Cut off the top of it. Zoom in too much.
I'll zoom it back out. Just trying to make it big.
Pretty basic, shows your pumps, your wet well. These are indications of some of your set points. We'll go over that in a little bit. Be able to click on these pump, go over what's showing you. It's hard to see, but this is a indication of vibration. There's vibration sensors on there. High vibration will give you an alarm. Shows the speed running of the pump, whether you change color to green when they're running, red if they're faulted. Tells you if they're in remote auto, remote hand, or if they're running in hand off the switch at the downstairs. Then lead lag indication, which one's going to kick on first.
Change the lead lag on computer, or is that a localized switch?
It's on here as well.
It's on here, okay.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a little bit. And then over at the top left there, shows the gas level, pump room temp, electrical room temp. It shows you 2 exhaust fans. It'll tell you if those are running. And then your flow meter, whatever your flow rate is. And then also whether your station is alarmed or not, or armed, the intrusion alarm. I don't know if I got a good picture of. There are buttons there to arm and disarm that.
Are those exhaust fans set up automatically at all? Or is it all
They're not
just-
tied into our system at all, other than showing that they're running. I think it's just the switches in the electrical room.
Alright.
Yeah, I know some of you guys have seen SCADA before, but some of you haven't. This is similar to a SCADA screen.
That's not new rain.
It's a lot more impressive when it's running.
Yeah, it's a little hard to show everything right
You see all
here.
the stuff up, the colors. Ooh, I like it.
Starting on that right button at the top that says login.
Get any.
This is a login screen. You hit that, this pops up. You click on the, probably just end up using the key on the left there, operator 1. And then you click in here, it'll pop up a screen for your password. Password for operator 1 is 1111. If you
By
want-
default, or there is?
That's what it is for now.
Okay.
Just to be, to make it easy. You can click on change password, change your password, but then you
Well,
have
but
to
you gotta be
remember
at
that.
administrative level to do that, don't you? Or not?
Once you're logged in, operator 1 has enough.
Oh, it does? Okay.
So then once you are logged in, it will show you over here, operator 1, and then that will allow you to change settings. Here's your pop-up for your pump 1. You just click on the pump, this comes up, gives you your handoff auto if you want to run it at a manual speed for some reason.
Is pump hours on there somewhere?
Right at the bottom here, it'll tell you your hours, your run time. And again, it shows you
It's clear.
speed it's running. It's a little easier to see on the computer. It's hard to read on here.
That way you guys can force, if you're sitting here, for some reason you want to force a pump on in the hand, you can do it sitting here.
Check flow, make sure things are reading right.
That's one thing I gotta call as a general contractor, make sure they get that 8-inch look back up again so we can watch your phone and everything.
Here's your set point screen. You can set your desired wet well level at the top there. That's what pumps are gonna try and maintain, but it sounds like you're gonna have so little flow. Your pumps really aren't gonna be able to ramp down that far. They're just gonna suck it down and shut off.
Well, from my understanding, yeah, there's a set point, a low point, and then, you know, when it raises up to 5 foot or whatever, the
Right.
pump kicks on,
Yeah,
and it
right
pumps
here.
back down to that low point,
Here's your
and then
lead
everything
pump
shuts off.
start. You
But
can
it's
set what you want.
100%, it's all out.
Yeah, the pump ramps up 100%, correct?
I guess it depends on where you have your settings at.
It doesn't have to.
Right, here's your lead pump start. It's gonna start at 6.2, it's gonna ramp up and suck it down to 6 foot, and then it's gonna go down to you have a minimum pump speed. Just by playing around with it, 63% is about the bottom of your pump curve where it's actually pumping something. You can set that to whatever you want. I mean, it can be 100%, he'll just suck it down and shut off.
Well, and now all those set points are predetermined by the engineers.
No, this is just what I've put in here. I don't know, you know, if there's suggested levels for that.
Okay.
I like your pump.
And we can change our parameters as needed.
Right, yeah, these are all adjustable. I think the only settings that aren't adjustable are the gas level, because everything else is. Yeah, you got your lead pump start, your lag pump start, pump stop.
That's what his wife's got, set 60%.
Let's set up on an alternating thing. One pump will run the first time, next time it kicks on.
It's set up
comes
to
in.
change once a week.
Okay.
Is what was in the specs.
And it'll do that automatically.
Right. Yeah, that's actually another screen I can show you here. But then you got your high and low wet well alarms, temperature alarms, vibration alarms.
So you can arm that station right now? Or is that not hooked up yet?
It's not hooked up. We went out there and, you know, I just copied the screens from there. It could be armed, but the door switches aren't installed. I think they're working on that today.
Does that mean they have doors?
No, they can't put door switches in, so they don't have the
Oh,
doors.
that's right. Yeah, waiting on the doors.
They got
Never mind.
broke into last night.
Again?
Yeah,
Wow.
In the electrical room with all the tools or the big side?
just the big side, they didn't go in the electric room.
It's at least the third time.
Yeah, this is your sequence screen. Just show to the top which one's lead, which one's lag. You can change it here if you want to change it manually. Down here, enabled automatic rotation. You can set your day, set your time. This tells you what the PLC time, what it actually thinks it is.
You can disable one of them pumps if you have to. One of them, say pump 2 goes bad, you know. it
Right, and then the other one's
switches
just gonna
around.
run every time.
Disables and doesn't switch automatically.
Right, right. It's not going to switch straight on. It's not
Sure.
enabled. And it'll actually show a banner here if both switches aren't in auto downstairs, so you're not able to change it anyway.
And when we do come across something where we did this, the problem comes, we can just call you and you program a fix, right? I've run across this before in a Windows-based operating system.
You keep talking about operators. I mean, there's multiple people that are going to be going out there to operate. Yet everything's logged under operator 1, correct? So I can go out there, make a change, and he comes in the next day and runs, and that pump crashes. It's because of what I set up, but nobody'd ever know necessarily directly that it was me
Yeah, it
because
doesn't-
we only have singular operator.
It looked like there was access
Well, yeah, there's
for multiple passwords, so.
5 keys, or you can make
We
it
can
5.
set up
Well, but I
multiple
didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, there can be multiple operators with separate passwords.
All right.
When do you have to, at what point in this process do you have to know that? Before you leave this time? Or when you come back out and
Well, yeah,
do
we
the
can
other
set that up.
We probably set that up
If
6
you want-
months in.
If you want separate operators, we can do that today. That's not a problem.
But can you do it when you come back and do the,
Yeah,
okay.
whatever works for you. There's a trend. It's real hard to see on this screen, but you can set up what pens are on there. If you want to see flow, if you want to see level, it can show up to 8 pens at one time. So you can see 8 different variables there: your pump speed, your level, and it's set up to store back for years. So you can always look back and see, you know, was this spring like last spring or that sort of thing.
Usually what it does is what's it create a file once a month to get that set up, or once a day?
Not sure. I think I set it to store like 1,000 days.
No. So it's just gonna keep it in file.
But the thing with that, if you take the laptop out of there, it's only logging when it's hooked up to the PLC. So it's more for once the final system's in, then it'll constantly be updating and logging that to give you information. Final screen here is an alarm screen. It'll list all your alarms. Would be in red. Our new current alarms. You can acknowledge them down below, and that should click off your relay that's signaling your dialer. And then when new alarms come in, they'll populate in there and click on your alarm relay to the dialer and signal that.
This is the big reason for the PC. You don't have that
This will
acknowledge
tell you,
button, there was
yeah.
nothing else. Once you got one alarm in, your dialer's gonna stay on and you can't,
No way to reset.
yeah, you gotta reset it.
Yeah.
On this dialer, the temporary, the dialer, we can acknowledge that by pressing, what is it, 9? Well,
Well, that's
that,
not gonna signal the PLC
Right.
Okay.
to clear the alarm so that it's ready
They'll
for
just-
another alarm.
we just won't get any more phone calls.
Right.
It'll get multiple alarms, just not multiple of the same one.
One call.
It goes out to 10 a.m.
Oh, once you-
level.
But
until
that
I
just means
acknowledge
you
it.
go out
we're gonna have to
and
send somebody
acknowledge
out
it,
there.
you're not gonna
I can
That's why-
get gas or some other
the laptop
alarm,
thing.
just not that one. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like the alarm on my house now.
Yeah,
Get out there.
It's just always going off because it's not there.
snooze.
Like at ADT or something.
Don't forget the history button.
No.
I didn't take a picture of that one, but yeah.
Well, there's a
You can
history
click
button.
history here and it'll go back and show you all the alarms that have occurred. Basically ever since the system, or since the computer's been set up.
That's not your 1,000-day limitation.
No, this is actually a separate
Alright.
log of, it'll just show all the alarms that have ever happened, when they were acknowledged.
Yeah, those are real neat.
So I guess I missed that part, the 1,000 days, that's all the activities that's
That
going
was for the
on
data
there.
logging for your trend.
Is
Yeah,
there
as far-
anything in there just in reference to what Mark said, operator 1 makes a move, is there any sort of history like that?
There is I believe there is an activity log, who was logged in and what was changed. It's not really set up to be viewed on this system. But down the road, that could be something.
That's when it
But
comes
if the
on
change was
there,
made
it's
because of an
got-
alarm, that information
Well,
would
see,
be
something that's still
available
supposed to
when the alarm went off. when it
Yeah, that
stopped.
would be under that
Well, that's
history
the
button.
ones.
I mean, this screen will tell you when it occurred. History button will tell you when it was acknowledged. It will float, you had a high float and then it went back off. Tell you that.
He changes a parameter because
Yeah.
of alarms. You'll have to correlate that in your head. All right, we had a high level alarm at 10:10.
Yeah, it doesn't really
So and
track
so
when
was
set
running
points
at
were
that
changed
time.
or anything.
General contractor, so we kicked the bird.
Yeah, that's probably a lot more detailed than what
That was for calling up.
they're doing. but
This is almost identical to what Veolia was running.
pretty similar to CAP too.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
kind of the quick and dirty of all this.
Well, I was just wondering if it was in skate.
Says tell them.
Oh.
Similar.
Cheat security cam set.
Any other questions?
Outside that radio tower, so that
I can show you a little more in detail once we're out there too. You can actually click through all the
Yeah,
screens.
we'll have another 1,000 questions after we're up and running.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
My phone number is.
That's why I asked.
Our wiring. This is the cable that will plug into the computer. Plugs into the bottom of this card here. I'll probably just leave this in the cable, in the panel all the time. Normally, this would be plugged in, goes to the radio, goes to the antenna, to the repeater, back to the plant.
That'll be plugged in later.
Yeah, once the rest of the system is up. As far as operation, that's really all you need to know. I have that cable plugged in here. I'm looking over here at the computer. Cable in there.
So hopefully this will be made available to us on weekends and not locked up.
Put your heart out and start smacking the back of the head.
No password on this computer. It should just boot up right into here. Window viewer, that's the application you want. Double click that, and it'll start up. We have an alarm. Sump failure alarm, we have water in the sump downstairs. So there's a float, that's been triggered. We have a pump running. Our wet well is at 6.4 feet.
Did you start that or did it start on its own?
It was an automatic, and there's water dumping in there, being pumped out of the creek right now. And that actually pumps fast enough. The pump will modulate and slow down. It'll maintain their wet well set point. I believe it's at 6.2 feet. 6 feet, I guess. and it'll just maintain that, control the pump. If the flow drops off, the pump will maintain a minimum speed, and you'll keep pumping down until we hit the pump stop level. Pump will shut off.
Does it say how many gallons that pump, is it, I mean, where's it pumping to now? Is it pumping to the plant now, or is it?
I don't know where that 8-inch line goes.
Okay.
Pumping 267, 270, matches our flow meter up here.
So that doesn't read out, I guess, then.
Well, that's the hertz, that's the speed.
That shows hertz over there, it shows percent here.
Yeah.
And if for some reason this pump fails, or it just gets taken out of auto, I gotta log in first. Password. Okay. So this shows operator 1 is current user. But if something does happen to this pump, it'll automatically start the other pump. Which it'll take off.
Well, that shot up right now, didn't it?
Yeah,
It's slow like our old
No,
car.
it'll take a little time for it to ramp up to speed. That thing was.
They speed up pretty quick.
In between.
But we got the deceleration long enough where it's not slamming the check valve shut
Right.
right when I shut it off. It's pretty smooth.
That's nice.
Another thing is the station arm, disarm. Currently we're armed. If we had door switches and you open the door, it would.
We would've caught somebody.
No, you
We got a
would've.
phone call last night. That is no alarm out here, they wouldn't know an alarm went off. They probably
Yeah,
wouldn't have
by
got
the
the
time
cop
they
out.
get, by the time they get a hold of somebody, get out here,
They'd
probably be going anyway.
That'd be a half-ass good reason to have the flashing strobe or alarm hooked up to the doors, so they think they know there's an alarm going off.
Or a buzzer or something.
Cause I sure would be, hey Scott, go out there and check that. No, somebody broke in, no, you call the cop.
Not without my gun.
The arm and disarm is pretty self-explanatory. It will give an alarm when you, if it's armed and you come in the station, it's gonna send an alarm, you know, to whoever's getting that
So
call, I
there's no way
guess.
to disarm it while you're coming out here to do it.
Right, before you get in here. Once this is out of the plant, it can be disarmed during the day or whatever. And then arming it gives you 60 seconds to get out. Turns yellow, says it's arming. And this will show you in red which door was entered. And then in that alarm screen too, it'll say which door.
Now, you said this is gonna be able to be monitored at the new lift station there at the plant. It's also gonna be monitored from the new plant once the plant's up and operational.
Through the complete SCADA system.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how the plans go on that.
I-
I know these are supposed to be visible at one location is the plan.
I think you will, just because we're gonna have fiber optics running from the lift station to the new plant. So you should have access to everything at the new plant and the lift station.
I don't think I even know exactly for sure. Once the new plant's up and operational, where we're gonna be, I mean, that was just what we discussed where the employees are actually going to be.
Well, it's all automated. You're gonna
You have that one screen you showed a little bit ago, the hands-on model with 6 months is gonna be hand. No problem.
Do you have any questions on this, or? I mean, it's pretty intuitive and self-explanatory if you're going through it. Like I said, my number's available, you can give me a call if you have any questions.
So we don't have to go in and change pump sequence.
They'll do that automatically.
But it's set up in there that if you notice something from the control panel, you can say, hey, you know, that pump ain't running, you know, it says it runs at 70%, and you see it's only pumping 50 gallon a minute, and you know the pump curve at 70% is about 200. You can switch that over on by yourself,
Yeah, you
and
can,
then write a work order to say, I think the
Go
other
check that pump out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing with the vibration monitor
Right.
too. It's getting a bunch of vibration.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not set up to shut the pump down on high vibration, but it would send you an alarm.
Yeah, but then you can get it and say, well, that's vibrating.
Something wrong with that.
shut that one will come right.
Yep.
Cause you got your physical HOA switch down there, and then you got your, controls one in there.
So, let me ask you this, if one of us is out here working on this, we can put a breaker up here so that's gonna nullify anything that the computer can do. Right?
Yeah, if you were
main
in a
breaker's wrong, that way somebody back in the plant don't know that we're working on something.
You've also got a local disconnect down there.
Right, yeah, but I mean,
Shut down and lock
we shut
out.
that down, lock it up, and we also throw the main breaker out here in case you're gonna pull a pump out again. Trust us that. I just don't wanna be down there working on it. I switch the can down there, start off for a few minutes, look at something, tighten the packing or something, all of a sudden somebody back in the plant says, what's not running? Look at
Well, it's off
If
down
it's
there, it
off
shouldn't
down
be
there,
able to run, but
it.
you won't want locals, you don't want to
Right.
rely on that anyway.
Yeah.
You lock it out anyway.
I didn't like you, I'm not gonna communicate with you.
That physical switch down there will override it.
Overrides.
But you're gonna
I'm
throw
gonna
that
come here and
local,
throw the breaker anyway.
yeah, and you're gonna throw the local disconnect and your lockout tagout procedures, so.
Every time.
You just set-
You're on camera here.
You just set it on. That's the next one, that's you. You're in trouble.
You guys wanna play with it? Get in there and navigate through the menus and look at some.
You guys are pumping water from the creek, kind of just straight into the wet well right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You know about what you're pumping in? I mean, will this thing run?
Pumping out what's
What-
pumping in.
out. That's what if that would, what's being pumped in, if that thing would shut itself down because the flow being brought in is not
If
enough.
we went and shut them off, and if we go shut the pump off, it'll pump down.
I'm gonna see you get like 2 pumps running right now, right? Oh, is there? Okay. I just see the 2 hoses in there, and I just kind of wondered,
If you wanna do that, we can take one of them out and throw it back in the ditch, if you wanna see it pump down.
why, I just get curious, I mean, what level would do that?
I mean, you guys, this is your, this
5 foot.
is your training section, you wanna see it do some stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to see it stop. You take one hose out of there, if that's enough to get it pumped down and then come back up. I mean, basically, that's what you're gonna have from Longmore. They're talking 23,000 gallon a day. So you're talking 20, I think it's 28 gallon minute flow coming in, and this pump's a 350 gallon pump.
Yeah.
And it would take long for it to travel that.
I'll make it stop. I'm running that flow, so that one should stop on level.
No, he's got
Gotta
it,
suck it down real fast.
he's got it in hand, how do you control,
I turn this one on again.
I know.
Yeah, but it says out of service, so how you know it's doing anything?
It says it's running 100%.
Yeah, but it says out of service.
It's out of the sequence, that's the lead lag.
Oh, okay.
so how do you control that if you want to, say 50%?
Yep, right.
See, and then
Pump in.
pump number
Like
two,
in that box.
pump number
Yep.
2 is down at its minimum.
I got you, all right.
You get that level down to 5, and that one should shut off, and that one will keep running.
Right.
Because I'm in hand.
Yep.
And that's what you wanted to see. You
Right,
wanted
yeah,
to see it shut
well,
off.
actually, I mean, we can't tell what's coming
He
out.
wants to see it cycle on his own program.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, it's essentially doing that,
Yeah.
but I'm manually taking more water out to make it go low.
Right.
How quick a read is this?
It's pretty fast.
Because we've got a really slow one at our other
See,
circuit.
There was a setting with recipe and there was a rate of change. It would suck that wet well down and it'd still have several feet in there. I had to speed that up.
Yeah, when he hits the low point, it should disconnect both of them, it should shut them both down, right?
So this
Well, that's an hand that shut it down too, is there?
No, it's an hand. The only thing that'll shut it down is that low level float. That actually
What's
is
the low
killing
level?
the
What's the minimum low
won't
level?
stop at 5.
Right, what's the low level? Low level. But when that gets to 4,
Well, alarm will go off at 4, but it doesn't stop the
it
pump.
won't stop the pump.
I'm in
It's on
hand.
Right.
It's overriding.
It'll give you the alarm, but only that low level float.
But the low level should shut it down, shouldn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
that actually kills the drives itself.
Too slow for you?
I believe the specs say that.
On the low level alarm?
Gonna shut, the lead line should cycle off in one day, is what the specs say, so.
I made the day adjustable.
doesn't matter. as long
They
as
can be
it's
set to
on.
undo.
These are something like 750 GPM pumps?
No, 350. 350 each.
They say about 500.
What's the last one? Well, I thought he said 350, didn't he?
I thought it was higher than that.
Like I said, it's on the nameplate downstairs we're looking. I thought he said 350.
There's our 5 animal.
350 gallon minute.
I thought that's what he said,
That one,
didn't he?
yep, that one's ramping down.
It's going down on its own.
Okay. So let that pump down for a little bit more before you do anything with that one. Let it get down to about 4.5.
We should get an alarm at
Well, no, I
that
mean,
level.
you want to get to 4. I'd shut it down to 4.5 and let it build up and see when that's turned back on. That's all I was wondering is you auto off.
It'll start here and restart, lag start.
No, you want
Lead
lead
starts.
Yeah, but see, while this is still going, when you shut that off, the lead start should come back on.
Not till it hits that level.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Shut off to come
Yeah,
up.
it's gonna come back up, yeah.
If you let it continue to pump down, you're gonna eventually reach your alarm point. and
Right.
shut off.
Yeah, at 4 feet you should get alarm.
You wanna watch the alarm or you wanna go up?
I don't matter, watch the alarm. I'd like to see if at 4 feet, yeah, let it go like that. Let the other see it. Because I would assume at 4 feet, when you get that alarm, it would shut the pump off.
I don't think you can, 'cause you can't override a hand.
Well, I mean,
On here you can, you can't override the hand down there.
I mean, the alarm won't override the
you
computer.
ever see, like at Galbert, we've got, it's not anything this fancy, just a little print out, a little screen. But you can put it in the hand, but when it hits the low level, it shuts off.
Yeah, and see this, when it hits low level, it should shut off.
It should,
Because it's
yeah.
still in auto down there. If it was in hand down there, then the alarm wouldn't.
Oh,
affect it.
right, okay.
Like at Galbert, even if you're in hand, it overrides it, shuts it off when the low level is reached.
The level set point is basically gonna be a 24/7 pump, it's just gonna control that.
It's gonna try to, as long as there's enough flow coming in.
Yeah, 'cause see, I don't think you're gonna ever have that much flow on a constant basis. Because they're gonna be set up, from what I understand too, just on off flow. It's gonna pump down.
On low level.
Then it should also show up on your alarm screen. You'll see that.
Oh boy, that's real big print. I'm gonna need glasses for that.
Make that bigger.
Yeah, we can size that up a little bit.
Acknowledge that. Both acknowledge.
We need to get the old man type on there.
How low should we let it go before we decide it's not gonna shut it off?
I wouldn't let it go much below.
I think it goes down.
6.
I think the low float's about a foot.
The low level, it'll shut off.
The low level.
But when you get to the float switch, it'll shut off.
Oh, okay. Now let it go, see what happens. I like the pretty yellow light flashing.
So yeah, I don't see one there.
Yeah, the other one's not adjustable. It's actual flow.
It's got low wet and high wet.
We're just waiting for the float switch to trigger it.
Right.
Now,
And that one's
They're actual floats. They don't show up on this.
right.
screen.
It's not
Because
adjustable.
this is all the ultrasonic.
Right, that part is. The alarm shows
So
up.
there's
on
actually a
here.
backup float system out there that,
yeah, there's high float and low float.
Okay.
But I think it's down around 1 foot or 1.2.
yeah, so I mean, we don't need to let go that far.
Can you run both pumps in hand?
Yeah. You have to click off first and then
First.
Yep.
Or kick on,
Yeah, it did 100% right off the bat.
which is good.
It's gonna suck it down pretty fast now.
Rather have to start up than have that stupid
The
little shit.
GPMs isn't going up.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It's just a little lag.
It takes a minute.
It's a soft start, so it might
Show
show
100%,
It'll show 100% on here, but it's gonna still.
Yeah, well, slow.
It's part of the VFD is the soft start.
Instead of the big old sums of guns we have, it's got the 2-stage start. They start at half speed and all of a sudden they hit full speed.
You know, the flow was like a 1.5, somewhere in that
Yeah,
neighborhood.
something like that.
Or they will suck air into there.
Yeah, I mean, you're losing GPM because you don't have the head rush
cent of the foot are, intakes are 6 inches off the floor.
Yeah.
So we could be getting vortex in there or
Yeah.
something there.
And probably shut that off, yeah. Put it back on all.
It is my fault, doesn't it?
Okay, so you just everything pan.
And then automatically, when you put, the first one to be put in auto will be lead, the second one will be lag.
That says there's lead and yellows and lag.
And then the same with the switches downstairs, it'll automatically.
That'll take a half hour to fill it back up to start.
It takes a little while.
You know how many gallons is that wet well? Do you know, right offhand?
It's like 1,300 gallons in
foot?
our range,
Okay.
not per
Oh,
foot.
okay.
You're looking at probably 450. I figured that, let's see. Specs.
6 foot wide.
About like 6 foot wide. You know,
4.5 foot wide
1.5 foot wide by about what, 20
by
feet
13
wide?
by 13.
Oh, 13.
foot two.
Oh.
Because we're only
Wall in
half.
the middle.
Oh,
There's a wall in the middle.
oh, for future expansion, you put more
Yeah.
pipes in it.
So it spills over that one into the other one.
What's the depth?
I mean, just to give yourself a cubic foot, you take that number times
Yeah.
7.34.
440 gallons, 443 gallons per foot of depth.
Yeah.
And right now the range is set at 3 foot range. So you got,
So when it hits 7, you know, I mean, just grab another, hit 7 and pump down 4. If it hits 4, it should shut off because it's not bringing in enough flow to keep
Yeah.
going. And then that'll shut off until the.
We have a copy of the prints.
since we took them on here because they're outdated.
Otherwise, I can tell you what those inputs were. They're probably auto switches downstairs. That's what 0 and 4 are.
You want me to go flip a float or something?
Sure.
Or maybe 2.
What is that bank right there?
Well, if you look at the prints, yeah, it'll tell you what all your digital inputs are, your floats, your hand switches, run indication of the ventilation
What's the
system.
fancy keys for?
That will actually put it into program mode, and it'll stop executing the program, or you can put it into run, and remote. In the middle, that's remote, and you can control it from the software.
Are these the boxes you're saying we could install hot? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you can actually pop these out, reinstall them under power.
I hovered over it, man.
Is there resets on those?
Not really, you're there working or not.
Just down here.
We do have fuses in here, yeah, with they have a blown fuse indication, this little light will be on.
Right.
If they're blown.
Alright.
And these are for the analog outputs that go to the drives.
Then you get some spare fuses for us in here. We gotta order our own.
They should be in the spare, we have a box of spares.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Powered up, it's okay.
Yeah,
Don't pull it out while it's off.
that was the program.
Don't pull it off when it's off?
Yeah, leave it on. Battery, you can change the battery.
But we do have, there's a little compact flash card that pops in here, and that's got a back of the program. It should load if you lose it. I guess we could try it.
So those pretty easily to get, those backup battery packs?
Make a little battery, yeah. No, you gotta go, no,
Might have to go through an Allen Bradley distributor.
And there's one I think.
What kind of battery is it?
Just like in your phones.
I got it, it's in your thing.
I know, I mean,
I found the clothes.
Look at the side of that, like a 9 volt.
Oh, there you go. Say no battery lights on, see the battery's dead. Yeah, you get them through Allen Bradley, it's a distributor.
But they last long.
6, 8 weeks.
Now you're gonna say 6, 8 weeks, you're gonna be dead.
Get it back in there.
I
was gonna look.
You might just name and put over there and pencil on the case.
No, I didn't do that. Somebody else wrote my, Zach's card right there. I say, that's probably the
Yep, I'll
electrician.
just play with it.
Right there and pencil, that way you can rub it off real quick.
Well, there's also a UPS in there. It's gonna keep this, if your power shut off the breaker. basically that cord runs down and plugs into this UPS cord here. And so it's battery backed up and then it goes back up in here. If
And it'll
your
run
UPS,
for a good hour just off that.
if your UPS fails, you can take that and unplug that cord right out of the back there.
Plug that in there,
Plug it in there.
and your panel has power, no backup.
Yeah. And then you still have that, see that MA 15 series? You still have surge suppression, you just don't have any battery backup. So if that ever fails on you, and you know, when those get so old, they do. And you see them on
What-
computers, they do.
What is old?
6, 8 weeks.
And I hope our warranty's pretty damn good. But seriously, when does it start to get outdated?
Battery.
What's the life expectancy of it?
Usually it's the batteries that you can they're replaceable. I think 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's.
Well, it really depends on how often it happens. I mean,
Sure,
you know,
there's some use.
it's probably like any other battery backup that if it only goes like 2 or 3 minutes, it kind of develops a memory that, you know, after time, you only get 2 or 3 minutes use out of them after time.
Could be.
Did we get any kind of indication that they're on the UPS?
Through the,
Will there be a control panel lost on it?
No, we don't have.
There's no control panel lost?
There's a UPS alarm.
Yeah.
It's not set up that it's on battery. We can do that through the front display here that's running on UPS. I think it was just in the specs as a general UPS alarm. If there's anything wrong
Well, the
with
thing
it.
is, even with battery backup on that, if we lose power out here for say 30 minutes, what is that? I mean, it doesn't
Feature-
run no pumps, I mean, we're still
Feature
dead.
communication, you can
Yeah.
see your wet well level.
Everything's still dead, it's just, you know it's dead.
Well, all your instrumentation is still powered up.
Yeah,
Your
but I
wet
mean,
well,
it-
your
it doesn't do anything.
door alarms, you can't run anything.
Right, yeah.
You can see it.
You just know that it's dead, but you can see
Right.
it's dead, but you don't have any control over it.
But yeah, but that would let you know that power's out now.
Right.
And you know,
We did an alarm, whether it's Rayco or.
it'll be a Rayco, and then after everything else is set up for the new plant, that alarm will come over on SCADA.
all this will coincide with.
And then
Just status
red
over.
card outside the
Yeah.
flashing light.
Status only will be good in SCADA.
And then you'll wake up and call whoever has to come in.
Well, you know what, this is Charlie Mulholland, yeah.
Saying if this goes bad, we can unplug this whole here.
Right, this is your
So the
stuff.
radios.
Right, everything will still work, you just lose your action. Your light on your relay isn't coming on, but this is coming on. You know, you have a problem with your relay, or you have a problem with
Could be
the
a
power
fuse
supply.
blown. If a fuse blows in there, they're going out with their illumination.
See, I mean,
Yeah, it's-
They have little lights
Did you
in
already do
them.
that?
Yep, I don't know if everybody heard
If the light
that.
is on, the fuse is bad.
Right.
Okay. Pull it out, show them how to change it. Well, it's gonna shut the pump off. Pull it out.
Now, are you watching this? Just change the fuse.
Yeah, it's,
They're real simple.
It's like a little,
the door pops out and then that fuse is right inside the door.
So you have covered, you know, the green light and the red light thing for troubleshooting?
yeah, as far as up here, and,
Okay.
yeah, and for checking
That's
your
for
inputs.
the, what is it, the discrete controls?
This is a discrete, this shows all your input numbers, so you can check them against the prints.
Okay.
See if your input's actually coming on or if there's something else.
It shuts off the other.
Relay, it's hooked to the low wet well float.
I get quick.
If it trips that, this light goes out, that kills your pumps.
The other relays for your high level.
Those we really don't have relays for. They go into these inputs up here.
This one, basically, if I want to come out here, say on a Monday morning, and it's, when it's, you know, it's just started to rain, I log to reset that. Tuesday, I could come back and it would tell me how many gallons went through that day. Because this one, you don't get the total readings from this one, for billing purposes, would be on the computer anyway.
No, I take it off here. The billing purposes, if it's the same way Comanche is set up, Logan will be sending us the numbers. The only thing that would be is just to keep them honest.
Right. Well,
They've got metered what's feeding to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, Logan.
yeah, they might have the external flow hooked up.
It's running, you can feel it. Running. It just doesn't seem to pump it down. Well, it was a little below the top round part of the pump yesterday.
We don't want.
The bottom
Okay.
just fits over.
All right.
Turning the regulator open.
Look at the thing go.
You can see your gas level come up.
7.
Oh, we gotta go.
Alarm's at 10.
Yeah.
Then you get a really high level, 50, but it's not gonna go that high.
What's the comb mean?
Combustible.
Okay.
I think it's just telling you what the
What
sensor
it
is.
is.
But you could have different sensors on here.
Go ahead and make sure your hair's neat before that comes right off.
Something Mark and interested in.
Right.
So it should take it up to about 25%. Takes like 30 seconds.
You see that? I can't do it.
Which gas is that? Calibration gas.
Yeah, this one says 0.6% propane.
So just basically checking now.
Yeah, it should be 25%.
It is now.
So we know the calibration's good on it. Take you guys through a calibration. 3 buttons.
0, calibrate, and address. Okay.
Yep. I was waiting for it to get down to 0 again. Alright. I'm just gonna push calibrate. Better get it. Maybe. Says apply 0 gas.
We got 30 seconds to do it.
Get 30 seconds to do it.
Hey, isn't that like a George Carlin skit?
Got the red wire.
Just open the
0
valve.
gas. So that should get you.
How far did you open?
Yeah.
Just crack it.
Just the way.
There you got it on.
So you can hear it going down.
I have to get the gas on. Anything else you got to push on the remote?
No,
Automatic.
I just pushed calibrate.
Okay.
It says apply 0 gas. It'll tell me to apply the other gas here in just a moment. Apply span gas.
Running out of time.
27, 28, 29.
Well, I mean, I understand why you got it. I mean, usually it goes with low, so you get the low spot. Like I said, unless there's some kind of alarm upstairs, open the door and everywhere.
Yep.
And like I said, I mean, I don't know if they're calling them exposure-proof lights, but I'm sorry if that case breaks or something.
And we can see a lot of it.
You know,
That's
so,
locker room.
yes. And I just don't, you know, like make it for us, I
Yep.
think was,
Certain
It
deal.
takes a little while.
I mean, them are a lot better lights than
Yeah.
the exposure-proof lights we have, because you get these, at least you get lights on.
You know, I guess that kind of has to be determined, you know.
Quarterly or semi-annual?
I would say probably check them at least once a month with this gas, just to make sure it comes up to 25. Once a
And
month.
didn't you listen to the training this morning? It said check it a couple times the first 2 or 3 months to see if the readings stay the same, and then about every 6 months after that.
Must have missed that.
You must have.
And then we're good.
Do you buy these canisters from the manufacturer?
You know, actually,
You
you
can
probably
get them.
buy it from Quad
I'm sure
City
there's other
Safety.
suppliers.
Quad City Safety deals in MSS. MSA stuff, so you could probably get it from that lot. Well, I don't know if she can get it, but we called down and talked to one of those salespeople down there, down in the place, down in Fort Wayne.
I don't want to break it. I don't know if it'll tell me in here.
Long-winded sound like that.
So why don't you explain what you're doing?
I am unscrewing the sensor. It's a lot of threads. I know, it's in there quite a ways. Sensor replacement.
And why are you unscrewing the sensor?
Demonstrating sensor replacement here.
Okay.
I think we're about there. Jeez. There we go. There's your sensor.
The other thing just kind of locks itself in automatic on them tabs in the bottom, huh? I'm hoping so. Uh-oh, missing. Sensor missing.
Yeah.
Come up with that about 15 turns ago.
Oh, really? Oh, it was.
Yeah. It was long before we got it off, and I was like messing.
Well, it's got
So
those
you
tabs. I
replace
think
that whole half essentially, or is there?
Yep, that's the whole sensor there.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just slide it in. I don't know if they include a spare or not. They do have a shelf life.
So it counts down until it resets, or what?
And that's just a little protective cover and holds the calibration.
Still pretty crooked.
How often do they recommend changing that? Or I'm sure there's a lot of variables.
Every 6-8 weeks.
Other ones I've dealt with, you know, like the portable ones, if you're sampling an area and you do find a high combustible level, that takes the sensor out. So depending on the atmosphere is going to be a big part of it, I think. If it stays, you know, pretty clean like this, it might last a year, 2 years. So.
Does the manufacturer recommend any, like every year automatically, or?
I just don't know the fact.
Now, if
I know it constantly monitors it, and it'll tell. Also shows your milliamp output. For some reason, you're not getting the same reading from here to the PLC. Check that against a meter. Like we went over before, not a whole lot of maintenance to it. You know, may have to wipe off the face of the sensor.
To take that sensor off there, is it unscrew? You got to unbolt it. It looks like there's threads on it, but is it
I'm
threaded
guessing
into that?
I'm guessing it's threaded into that flange
So you can
there,
take
but
that
you
whole
can
flange off.
take the whole flange off, or you know, disconnect the wires and take the whole
Well,
piece of diamond
this
plate
one
for that.
spins around, yeah.
Either way.
now we've got experience with Hydro Rangers,
Okay.
same principle.
Yep, I'm familiar with those.
And one of the problems we have with those is the level gets too close to the sensor.
Mm-hmm.
It gives inaccurate readings, and it just throws everything all off. Same issue
Yeah,
with
there's
this?
about there's about a foot range where
What's going to happen when it gets in that foot range?
Yeah.
Does it shut the pumps off? That's the
I think it fails empty.
It shows it's empty and the pump shut off.
Right.
Yeah.
It's up to the top.
Which that can be
Which saves
changed.
the pump's life, it is empty.
Right.
The logic behind
There's
that.
just absolutely no, the pumps have no control. There's nothing telling the pump what to do.
Well, if anyone has any questions on this?
You shouldn't have to, there's a transducer hanging down inside that pit, I assume.
It's all one unit. It's just screwed into that flange there.
Okay, that should
Just
be
hangs out the
cleaned,
bottom there.
get cleaned periodically, wiped off.
Well, that's what we talked about there.
Yeah.
I mean, the cobwebs. or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, it's just like up at 25th and any of them. It's just
Depending on how far down they get their access hole in that panel, to see the reason it's like that.
Yeah, and I think these are just sitting here, you guys lifted up.
Well, these all are gonna be bolted down before they're done.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, they're all gonna be bolted down.
I could use some diamond plate in the garage.
They're gonna be secured a little bit, I hope.
I get some.
Otherwise, these will come up missing.
Sure they will.
Buck a piece.
Well, when they broke in last night, the first thing they said, the railings are still here, which shocked them. You had attached aluminum rail? Yep. But is there any other controls they need to be looking at?
What's up on top?
Exhaust fans,
Exhaust fan,
air handling
lightning
unit.
rods.
That's where the antenna's gonna be pointing that direction, right? Is that
There's a
correct?
tower actually on the other corner of the building here. 30 or 40 foot tower.